Oh, good. Have we finally saved the world from Captain Planet, by the way?
No,
Ah, darn.
he's a menace to society.
He certainly is. That's the thing that you really take away from that show. Um, I think I might have learned the wrong lesson. Thank you for joining us on yet another episode of Total Pebble Knockdown, and I am Nathan.
I am Alex.
And that has yet to change, but we will let you know if it does. First thing up we have on the show is a weekly Muse, where we are going to be digging in a little bit to some recent news I heard about Netflix starting a gaming service as part of their No More service.
You know, the thing to do these days is start a streaming service.
Exactly.
That's why, for the old show, we had Delve Plus.
That's right. And Delve After Hours? Delve Fans? Delve Only Fans?
That's not a streaming service. That's something different. We're not going to get into that.
Yeah. That's
right
something
now.
Totally different. But
you have to be a patron to get into the Delve After Hours.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, you become a patron. We'll see. There's no guarantees. But the news was mostly that they're going to have a limited selection of games that are going to be part of the Netflix subscription, and right now it is only going to be Android, so these are just your, mobile applications.
Yeah, I think it's kind of weird when you had mentioned this, a game streaming service for mobile.
Yeah, I think that might just be because the actual number of games and what they are offering is very limited anyway, and they happen to just be mobile games, so they figured that's what they were going to do.
I mean, I too would love to play Clash of Clans streaming to my phone.
Oh, yes. That would be good.
Do you think they'll partner with Raid Shadow Legends?
Oh my god, that would be amazing.
That way you don't have to install it on your phone, you just stream it to your phone.
Oh, that would be fun. I think you might still need the Netflix app.
I don't know, I don't use Netflix.
That's fair. The library, though, I'm going to give you the full library at launch.
The full at launch?
Full launch.
How many exclusives do we have, Epic?
Oh, no, not Epic. But this is the entire launch library that we are looking at for Netflix gaming. Okay. Stranger Things 1984. Stranger Things 3 the game. Shooting
3? What happened to the first two?
Well, the 1984 one I think was supposed to be based off the first game, and then the second one, well, they were like, meh. So they just started 3 instead. Shooting Hoops, Card Blast, and Teeter Up.
First of all, what the hell is Teeter Up?
I think you're on a teeter-totter. I'm gonna just say maybe it's a teeter-totter game.
It's just a physics game where you tilt your phone.
It's just a physics game where you tilt your phone. I will look it up for you.
Yeah, do that. I would like to know.
I'm kind of scared. But maybe they will actually teeter up apps on. Well, okay. Okay, available exclusively for Netflix members. Your mission is to maneuver a platform to guide a ball into a hole. No Oh, I think I know what kind of game this is.
It's like a maze game?
I think this is like the maze. Remember when they used to have those, like, the wooden ones where you could take the little knobs and move them back and forth to, like, so it's like Monkey Ball, like Super Monkey Ball-ish
so
kind
it's
of
like
thing?
It's like the maze, the plastic mazes with the little metal ball in it that you have to get in the hole?
Yeah! It's a ball, a platform,
Except it's
and a
on
hole.
your phone.
Yeah.
So it's, again, as I was saying, you're probably just actually using your phone's
you're probably
gyroscope.
Yeah.
Which, I mean,
cool.
I guess that's neat enough for a phone app, but also, do you really need a streaming service for that?
Probably not. I love how they describe Teeter Up, though. This is terrific. I'm going to give you the description because, man...
It's riveting, isn't it?
It's riveting. It is maneuver a platform to guide a ball into a hole. No dragons, no monsters. Your only enemies are gravity and the laws of physics. A ball... yeah, what?
I would like to have dragons.
It would have... I don't think they're selling this very well.
No.
But this sounds like somebody at an ad agency designed this description. It's great. A ball, a platform, and a hole. Simple on their own, but all together, magical. Teeter is a beautiful combination of impeccable design and innovative game mechanics that provide players with a singular experience. It's an elegant game of whimsy and delight, with enhanced controls for 3D touch-supported devices. And don't forget to shake your phone for a surprise. Guiding a ball into a hole has never been more innovative, challenging, or super fun. That sounds riveting.
This is like ball and cup.
Yeah.
Someone trying to sell ball and cup.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me explain the amazing game of hoop and stick. Hoops, sticks, by themselves, not so great, but when they come together, magical and whimsy. It's pretty incredible.
Stick and ball on their own.
Cup and ball.
Boring.
Yeah.
Together, baseball.
Also, drinking game. Yeah, I don't really know if this is necessarily as innovative as they want it to be, but I mean, this is what you got, folks. This is what you got. Now,
you're gonna need to find a really low poly GIF or something to insert into the video here.
Yeah. Of
just some shitty looking maze game.
Cups, balls, mazes, something good.
Something to put here to simulate our enthusiasm at what we assume this will look like.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the thing that's really weird is that I do remember playing the Stranger Things games a little bit.
Oh, sure. Okay.
And those are made to look like 80s pixel graphic, top-down, almost Zelda-like games. That's kind of what they go for.
Okay.
Well, I mean, there at least one of them was like that, and then the other one was more like a turn-based RPG using characters from the show, and it was still all pixel graphics. But
do you think we can do a turn-based RPG ball and gravity maze type game?
Oh, I would love that. That would be great. You could do it almost like, remember the old dungeon crawlers? Where you could move forward and back and left and right and those.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you do not encounter monsters or dragons while you are going through that maze.
Perfect.
You just encounter legends.
I'm signing up for Netflix now.
Yeah.
I need me some Teeter.
You need some Teeter. Gonna be a good day, Teeter. The only monsters that you actually encounter while you're doing this turn-based dungeon crawl is the ledges. And when you do the ledges, you have to do rolls to make sure you don't fall off the ledge. And this is the dungeon crawling.
You know what would make this game sell even better? Is you're a ball, and you need to try and crush the party, a la Indiana Jones style.
Oh yeah, that would be really good. That would be really neat.
It'll be the total pebble knockdown we expected all along.
Yeah, the total pebble knockdown was coming from inside the mobile device. What I'm really trying to work out in my head though is gravity's cool, but the dragons and the monsters would have been better, frankly. I don't really know what they were thinking there. I'm mostly trying to figure out what the majority of the titles are going to be. They're not going to survive on 5 games to make this work. There's going to have to be more. I think what people are speculating about right now seems to be, is it just going to be franchises that are based off of Netflix shows and series?
Boy, that sounds boring.
Yeah. Yeah, not good. Hey, you know what would be great? They could make one based on Squid Game.
I was just thinking that. I was going to say Squid Game, the game.
The game. Squid Game, the game.
Squid the game. You're a squid now, you're a game now.
Oh, you know what they could do? They could do those exclusively for, what was the Galaxy Note that would explode?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The
7.
7, yeah. The Note 7. They just make it exclusively for that, and then if you fail, the phone explodes.
Perfect.
That's...
That means it's like Operation, where if you hit the sides,
yeah,
it buzzes. Except this time, if you hit the sides, it
explodes. That was the real Squid Game.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why
I've never
Explosive.
seen it. I don't know anything about Squid Game, so
Okay, yeah.
we're assuming this is Squid Game now.
Everything is a Squid Game now. Maybe we should try doing the Squid Game. No, I don't think it ended well.
No idea. I don't watch anime.
It's
I know. I watch anime. I'm joking.
no, it's that it wasn't an anime show. It
I
was a
know.
live action show.
I know.
Yeah.
You missed everything.
I wasn't sure if you were making a joke or
Everything I say is a joke, Nathan.
this is
Everything.
true. Fair enough. The current support, of course, is for Android devices. But if you don't have either an Android phone or tablet, you won't be able to take advantage of the amazing game library available over at Netflix.
I feel like most tablets that people have are not Android. I feel like Apple kind of corners that market better.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people that have Android devices, though. I think
tablets?
Oh, as tablets, no. iPads are pretty
Yeah.
much standard for those.
Yeah.
You, according to the Digital Trends article too, that I just pulled up, you cannot connect a controller to your TV or play them in any way on PC either. They're really, really selling me on this service.
Okay, missed opportunity streaming this to your TV.
Yeah.
Because a lot of TVs are smart TVs, and they're pretty smart. And I'm pretty sure these games are not really graphics heavy.
No, and also most people have the Netflix on their television already, so that's where their subscription
and
is.
it's usually the Netflix app on the TV these days because smart TVs.
Yeah.
So why not if you can I don't can
Yeah.
you what about can you cast the game from your phone to your TV so you can play with your phone but have it projected on the TV? Can you do that? Because that would be neat.
Okay, well, it says it's possible more devices will be supported in the future, but there's no official mention of those plans. They do note that some games will require you to be connected to the internet to play. Others can be played offline, anywhere.
Okay.
And so no additional fees to your current Netflix subscription, but they don't mention anything about being able to do a cast. Although I would imagine that if you're on your mobile and you just you cast it to your television, it would just show you what's on your mobile phone on your television.
Yeah. I mean, even so,
Guess.
it'd be like, yay, upscaling.
Upscaling a little bit. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting resolution issue. But the thing is, what's interesting about Netflix doing this is just that whenever a subscription service or a streaming service comes along, we always talk about it's the Netflix of whatever, because they kind of started this whole streaming thing, or at least they were the ones that really popularized it. And now Netflix is like, yeah, but we could just be the Netflix of gaming instead of like Game Pass or any of those. But
we can call it something worse.
Yeah, it's the Netflix of gaming that's Netflix, but also not as good. While I was looking through those, though, I started to realize that, boy, streaming and the cloud services that are coming out right now for gaming seems to be just getting kind of to be a crowded market.
Everyone's trying to get in on the same floor.
Everyone's trying to get in on the same floor, and the whole buzzword that we're hearing right now is just the cloud gaming more than anything.
Well, I mean, I have YouTube Premium,
Sure.
and they sent me an email. They're like, hey, you want 3 months of Stadia? I'm like,
No.
not really. It's like, it's free. And I'm like,
Yeah, great.
don't plan on using it. Thanks. And then NVIDIA has their own gaming streaming as well.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess for PC gaming, it's interesting because you could, we were talking a little bit before, you can kind of have a potato on your end.
Yeah.
As long as your internet connection is good, I believe you can use these streaming services for gaming, cloud gaming, to play a game on their back end. But then you're paying like a subscription for it. And
Right.
I believe with like NVIDIA, it's, I think they might have had a free plan for like an hour of time,
Sure.
so like you can play for an hour at a time.
Yeah.
Which I guess if you only want a limited gaming budget, then sure.
Yeah.
But then I think if you had like a premium plan, it was like up to 6 hours. I'm like, or I could just have a PC that runs these games and
Yeah.
buy the games and then play them as much as I want.
Right. Right. Because now you own them.
Maybe this is a good idea since the current GPU market is
Crazy?
absolute shit.
You don't want to pay as much as you would pay for a car so you can get the top tier graphics card.
Yeah, I don't. That's why I don't have a top tier
Yeah.
graphics card.
Because the ironic thing is, once all of you finally get your hands on the 3090 GTXs that NVIDIA was coming out with, they'll just come out with a better one, and you will be out something like, what, $3,500 or some insane amount.
Something like that.
Yeah, some crazy amount. I'm hoping that they're going down. I mean, they do. The one that I have in this computer is a 20 series, but it was nowhere near that kind of cost, and runs things just perfectly fine. The 2060 that I have in here will run, like, technically this will run Cyberpunk just fine.
Sure.
And can technically even do, although on lower settings, will even do it with the ray tracing.
Wow. Will it run Crisis though?
It will. I'm pretty sure it will run Crisis. I'm pretty sure. And so it's not a 30 series, but it does pretty well. The other one that had popped up that was also about the cloud gaming was about Sega and Microsoft partnering up to develop the super games. Of course, they don't really mention what the super games are going to be, just a lot of speculation. They're going to be super. But there was, Microsoft is building a cloud platform that is called Azure, so they're getting into...
Don't they already have Stadia?
Well, apparently, is Stadia... Now I gotta think about that, because Stadia was going to be like an actual game box, but it was streamed from the game box. I think Azure is just like an online platform by itself.
Okay, but why would I buy both then?
I don't know.
Sell one. Don't sell both.
Yeah. Maybe they're just rebranding and deciding to go in a different direction since Stadia was such a bust. I think that might have been the last-ditch effort. They're just like, can we give it away for free? And it's like, I don't know.
Kind of like Google Homes.
Yeah, Google Homes. All of these great ideas. So, one of the things that came up, too, because then I started thinking about, like, how many streaming services are there actually for gaming? And a couple years back, they had an article from The Verge that was about 15 game streaming services you could try before Stadia arrived. So, I don't really know. Google's service is only the tip of the iceberg. Yeah, apparently it is. I don't know if most of these really succeeded because I don't know a lot of people that actually use streaming services. I think they like to be able to play locally. But I understand that with that graphic card market and with the price of like a high-end gaming PC to run some of the new stuff, the enticement of being able to like basically pick up your phone and play a new release in 4K Ultra HD is a pretty enticing one when I don't have to buy the hardware.
Here's the thing. I don't know how many people that aren't like PC gamers that want to play PC games that don't have a good system.
Yeah,
like I feel like most people who would want to play computer games would have a halfway decent computer.
Yeah.
Like, if that's something they're into and they want to play these games, they're either going to have a console or they're going to have a PC. Right. I feel like most people who want to play PC games don't have potato PCs.
No.
And if they do, they go, oh, I want to play this game. Guess I need a new PC for that. Guess I'll go out and get a new PC kind of deal. Yeah, I don't feel like many people that can't run the games. I don't know how these services do,
Yeah.
So maybe I'm off the mark completely. Maybe it's a really big market. I don't know.
I think anytime you have something that's new, you're going to have people that are going to be early adapters, and you're going to have a lot of people that are just kind of waiting to see what it shakes out at. Because remember, once upon a time when online gaming was like this new thing, like the very idea of, especially on consoles, playing online with multiple people was like this brand new market, and it wasn't very good at the beginning.
No.
It was laggy, and it was working off of, like the old dial-up lines, and it wasn't really functioning very well. But the technology was really interesting, and it took a long time for them to really refine it to a point that the majority people just kind of accept it, and also just that's the new norm, that you do that. Downloading from the internet. We remember discs. Remember game discs.
I remember 5.5-inch floppies.
I remember 5.5-inch floppies too, and you put them in, and the little math muncher came along and crunched all of the little guys.
And then you lost all of your system hardware.
You lost all of your system hardware, and you died of dysentery.
Perfect.
Yeah. The difference is, when I'm looking at what they have listed for streaming services, is that it does seem like it's pretty much broken down into two different categories. You have the ones that are built to stream over your home network, so those are the ones that you actually download directly to your computer, and you just need to have the service. Or the ones that actually stream over the internet, and depending on what kind of output they're looking at, you could be talking about anywhere from 5 megabits to like maybe 30. Depending on what you're looking at. 30 in any resolution when parsec, and technically Stadia would require a 30 megabit for their 4K in 60 frames per second.
Wow.
That's also a problem, is because there's a lot of places in the country where you don't have that kind of internet speed.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah,
Would hate to live there.
There's some internet deserts out there, folks. A lot
And real deserts too.
And there's not very good internet in those deserts at all.
Just locally sourced 5G cactus.
Have you ever played any games over cloud gaming?
No.
No. Okay. I've played a few, but the only reason why I did, this is the only reason why I did. I have my Xbox, and I have my PC, and occasionally I wanted to see if I could play the PC game with my current game that I was already playing on Xbox. So like Wasteland 3 is a good example of that. I was playing it on Xbox One, and I was like, well, okay, but I have the PC and I have Ultimate Game Pass, so why don't I just... They'll offer the cloud gaming, and you can just jump into your game immediately. You don't have to download it. You can play it over cloud, and you can play with your current game saves for what you had on the Xbox One. So I was like, okay, that's cool, because now I actually have the hardware to like play this a lot faster. Load screens are a lot shorter, and I can pick up where I left off in the game.
Yeah.
Those are really the only times that I tried to do the cloud gaming, because if there was an option like with the Xbox Play Anywhere titles where you can just pick up your game from anything that's on your account, I download the game entirely because it plays better. So, I'm not really sold on it, just because I think you have problems with some of the network's connectivity. I did get drops a couple times where the network just shut off. It's just like no more for you. And so I feel like in its infancy, that's a problem with cloud gaming. But I understand why some people are signing up for it, because, not everybody can afford like a high-end gaming PC with their spare money.
I guess.
Yeah. I feel bad for those people. Oh, wow.
Well, I guess in the future we'll be seeing how these game streaming services do.
Yeah, and we'll see if people are really drawn to pick up Netflix specifically so they can play Teeter Up.
I'm gonna go look at a subscription right now.
That's right. That was the
but
selling.
Not really, because we already have Netflix in the house. I just don't use it.
Okay. You know, there were so many things that you could have picked up Netflix for, the Stranger Things or The Witcher or anything like that. But no, actually, Teeter Up. That was the
Teeter
seller.
Up.
That was
It's
the
the
straw.
only thing I want.
Yeah, absolutely. 'Cause
And of course,
Better than
17 Stranger Things games.
17. Yeah, exactly. More than any of the amount of seasons that it will have. Cool. All right, we're back.
She gone.
Okay,
Now we can do things.
now we can knock this out so we can be done. Okay.
We can knock this down.
We can knock this down like pebbles. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, let's do these other two so that we can.
Oh, you know what's gonna be fun in a minute? Tucker's probably gonna sit by the door.
Oh, fun.
So we're gonna have dog cam.
We're gonna have dog cam. Yeah, I'll readjust your screen so that it's over by the door and you're just out of frame altogether.
Yeah, just right here. Just right there.
Yeah, that's perfect.
And you can put dog cam or something in the metadata tag.
Oh, great.
And people just tune in because you
See
dog
that
cam.
there's a dog. Yeah,
This is the dog segment, yeah.
this is the dog segment. Perfect.
With the camera face. Anyways, alright.
All right.
See, there you go. There he goes.
Okay. Perfect. Extra dog content. Oh no, he went away. Okay.
He'll be back.
Yeah. Okay. On this week's Delving Deeper, we're talking about money.
I love money.
Ducats.
I like money.
What you buying? What you selling? Specifically about abstract wealth systems. So, to begin, before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about what wealth, money usually looks like in your typical RPG. We'll take D&D because that's the easy one for a reference point.
Typically, it doesn't look like anything because I don't think they ever give you a physical representation.
No, but there is a stat that you actually work with.
Are we calling it a stat?
I guess. It's a part of your inventory.
I guess.
It's
You
an
track
inventory
it.
item, yeah. Which is basically gold in D&D. There are some other systems that use some form of currency, basically. You have X number of currency.
It could be Electrum.
It could be Electrum, yeah.
Nobody uses Electrum in D&D. They're like, let's add Electrum. And they're like, can we just stick to gold pieces?
Yeah. Probably because why confuse something more than it has to be?
Yeah, there's copper, silver, Electrum, gold, and then platinum typically.
Right. Yeah, and I've seen a lot of different kinds of games where they try to, make those denominations all the way up, and I do have to ask myself, like, this seems unnecessary for what you're trying to accomplish. You could just have one denomination.
Yeah, it's a bit granular for...
Yeah.
I mean, maybe gold and then silver, perhaps?
Gold and silver, yeah. Possibly. I think, it seems like if you... I see it. I see dogs and I see cats. And I see fire and I see rain. But also, if we had a wealth system that was like dollars, but also yen and pounds, it wouldn't make much sense.
Yeah. Just
Why?
convert it into local.
Yeah, just have one. Just have one. And we'll work from there.
Of course, in video games, there's also typically... Alright then. Wow. Mother left and now you're going to be annoying.
Perfect.
Can you hear that or no?
No.
Okay, we're fine then. But that was just beep.
Yeah.
Anyways, in video games, they tend to have like gold.
Yeah.
Or dollar, depending on the system or country. Some games you can swap currency value, as it were, from like dollars to euros or pounds, but it's still the same monetary unit, just called a different thing. Kind of like they do with temperature. It's like, well, temperature they actually measure differently for those as well. Cat cam.
Oh yeah, the cat.
What are you doing?
The cat has decided that.
Wow.
Echo has decided that really wants to be part of the stream now.
Yeah. For those of you listening to the audio only, check out the video portion for cats.
For
and
cats.
dogs.
There's gonna be cats right up there.
What are you doing? Go away!
Echo.
Oh my god, they're both right here.
Yeah.
Their
Perfect.
mother left, and now they must bother me.
Perfect.
Anyways, wow, this is good off the rails already. But yeah, so one of the other things they can also do is a lot of games will do like gold,
Yeah.
or like I know they'll have their own name for a currency a lot of times in certain games. I know Mountain Blade Bannerlord has dinars,
Sure.
for instance. Gold. There's septums in Elder Scrolls.
Mm-hmm.
It's all just the same currency with different name values for
Right.
most of these things. It's all like these are all just wealth measurements.
Sure. I think where that gets confusing, and the reason why I've seen some other variations on it, is because when you get into very large quantities, it starts to become almost unmanageable. Gold, in some respects, is supposed to have weight, but also when you get into like high level items, the amount is just huge, and you have to start thinking like comparatively, is this thing actually worth 5,000 gold? Isn't this sword going to be worth as much as a house is worth in this world? It starts to make really weird
Yeah, when you
logic.
get into the economy of things as well like that, not that that's specifically what we're talking about for this segment, but
Right.
when you get into the economy in like D&D, it's like, oh, we've got 500 gold, and it's like, yeah, your average like peasant makes like a gold a month.
Yeah.
So, inject all that money into the economy and make someone's life.
or literally you can buy entire portions of towns at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't take long, and then when you figure out what adventuring supplies are supposed to cost, you're like, why would anyone have actually wanted to buy all of? How would they have afforded most of the stuff that you have to buy for basic gear, let alone the good stuff? But I have seen some ways that they have actually changed that system up. Now, the one that is a really old system is just the bartering system. if you just like say, hey, I'll trade you this thing for this thing, and you take money out of it entirely. Which, if you're dungeon diving and you happen to find a nice item but you can't necessarily use it, you might be able to do that. You would have to figure out a way, though, in game where you'd have to haggle with the shopkeeper to determine if it was a like value to the thing that you actually wanted from them.
I mean, again, you could then assign each typical item a monetary value average if you wanted to.
Sure.
But then you're not taking money out of the system. Then you're saying this is worth about X.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's not quite taking money out of the system. It's just, again, using a different unit to measure the money.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have 3 goats. Well, that's worth about 15 gold.
Right. But you're always converting that back into some kind of monetary value that
Yes.
you then work off of.
I mean, I think even with abstract systems, you're going to be converting things back into abstract monetary values.
There's no goat-based economy, as far as I know.
There could be.
Except for Goat Simulator, which is very much a goat-based economy.
We can make a board game with a goat-based economy.
That's true.
It's like Settlers of Catan, where it's a sheep-based economy.
Yeah. That's a good economy right there, because it has sheep in it. But the one that I actually did see that takes money out of the equation altogether, I saw mostly in, what was it called? Oh, Open Legend.
Okay.
Open Legend actually does have an abstract wealth system. The way that works is that, depending on your character, you have a wealth level. Essentially, that determines what you normally would be able to afford on like the week or month that you are in. If you are, peasant or all the way up to like affluent classes, and essentially what you would be able to afford in a week. There's no real money involved in that, but it gives you an idea of what you realistically could afford if something came up. it's not telling you how much you have, but if you get to be like Lord Satis, you could assume that you could afford to keep an entourage around you. You could actually keep, bodyguards. You might be able to afford ships. Can you afford horses? And what would that look like in a week or a month or something like that? Or if it's just that I can barely squeak by and I can only afford, basic supplies and really nothing else. I think the reason why that system did that is because, well, since that's an open system and it can be any setting, it allows you to kind of apply that to whether it's a space opera or you're doing like a medieval realm. You can kind of just assume that same kind of wealth level for whatever it is. You don't have to think about what the currency and the denominations and everything are. Because it can be as esoteric as you want it to be. You could say that your wealth level would allow you to get a horse, but then you could also assume that it will allow you to get like a spaceship or a fighter jet. And there's a lot of cat stuff going on right now, and we're in Cat Fight Club. Oh my goodness!
Just keep going. We're fine.
There's Cat Fight Club. Okay, Cat Fight Club ended. That's not fair.
Abstract cat economy.
An abstract cat economy, yeah. Exploding cat economy. You could do that. Absolutely. So you can do that kind of a wealth system where you just take money out of it entirely. Then the other thing that I've seen occasionally is, and I'm pretty sure that you've played a few games that are like this, is where we just don't have a money system at all because it's just not applicable. We just don't bring up the trading of goods or shopping as a mechanic.
Oh, I mean, that's not ever not gonna happen in at least RPGs and tabletop. I mean, tabletop games, there are some that trading and stuff won't happen because it doesn't make sense. For like Vast, for instance, if we were using a game as an example, there's no bartering between players or anything like that.
That's true.
So,
That's true.
I think there is money, but there's no like trading.
Right.
A different example for me would actually be a game that I played that has an abstract wealth system similar to Open Legend. It was actually Fantasy Flight Games Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Where you are basically playing affluent businessmen, kind of your rogue traders and their entourage, where you've got your trader who's got a warrant of trade. They can do business all throughout the fucking galaxy, and they have your characters have a wealth kind of rating. So it's similar to what you can spend, what you can afford in a week. This is like, all right, due to your level of fame or your power, this is like reasonably what you can expect because you own a giant spaceship and you are traders. So it's like, could we afford, say, a battalion's worth of weapons and armor for like guards?
Sure.
Like, yeah, it's based on the difficulty of the item to acquire that you're going for. So like a single lasgun, for instance, it's like trivial beyond belief. It's like you could get that no problem from anywhere, no problem. But like maybe you want 20 tanks. It's like that might be a little bit harder. Right. That might be a bit harder. So based on the difficulty and the level of the item you're trying to acquire and the wealth and power level of your characters, and if any of the other characters are trying to help you acquire that, it's like these are items that are reasonable for you to get, harder to get, and you can still roll on that to see if you can acquire it as well. You can be like, all right, maybe I want a gun. Okay, that's easy. Maybe I want a new warp drive for my starship. All right, that might be hard to acquire. See if you can acquire it, kind of deal. So that one's a lot more abstract, but it also makes sense where you're dealing with enough quantities of money and items
Mm-hmm.
that it does not make sense for you to get into the nitty gritty of, I've got $5,000. It's like, no, we're using vast quantities of wealth here.
Right. Right. Yeah. Um, that's an interest. So when you're going through that, is it like I'm wealth level 1, 2, 3, 4? Are they assigning like a number to your wealth level, and then that determines?
Don't quite remember exactly, but it does have like for the items, it would be like this is rare, or this is plentiful, or it's kind of rarity level, like uh, just how easy or hard it is for that item to be acquired. And then wealth is based on I think your fame level
Mm-hmm.
as that goes up and down.
I see. Okay. And then that determines basically the difficulty of acquiring items at any particular level.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, got it. Um, the other one that I had seen that I was playing in was in 1879. The way that they handle wealth in that system is with you getting a certain. They kind of assume that if you are of certain wealth levels, there is actually a monetary denotation that you would normally be living on. And when we were actually playing, it was about getting a certain fee, essentially, for performing missions, that you get a payout for it. Now, what I decided to use that for, because I actually wanted to do something with it, everybody else was trying to use it for training or equipment, or they were buying stuff, and I was like, no, when I get back to London from my trip down to South America and they gave me money, I said, what I'm going to use it for, because I was an inventor, I'm buying a workshop. And I'm getting some people, and I'm hiring them on, and so now what we had to do is kind of work out, okay, well, how much would you reasonably be paying your unskilled labor, essentially, to come in and to work in the factory and to train them to do the different things, and how much would it cost you to have, like, a resource pile in the back, essentially, and to have the building itself, how much would it cost you a month? And is that going to work inside of your framework?
And you're like, payment? Ha! Stealing people from their homes!
I kept thinking to myself the entire time, well, if I have a factory and I'm working on, like, taking the inventions that I came up with on my travels and trying to replicate them for, like, the elite of London, then I'm going to be making a profit that I can use to keep the workshop and my employees working even while I'm away. So the one thing that I made it, by the way, the workshop is Danger Zone. It's the Danger Zone. Yeah. And then
I hope you have an overseer named Lana.
No. No, I didn't. But I think that my 3 assistants that I had nicknamed, Goose, Maverick, I can't remember. Iceman? I want to say Iceman. Anyway, it's all Top Gun references, just the whole damn thing. And so I had come up with, in the jungle, when I was down in South America, I had built a basic mechanical thing that wasn't magical. It didn't require any of my special powers or anything. But it was just like this portable tandoori smoker that, like, collapsed down and, like, you could build it back up. Just a mechanical piece that didn't require any special skills. And I was like, this is terrific. This is going to be great. And so I just had them start making those. And so while I'm away, one day if I get back, I got to check and make sure that they're selling those tandoori smokers so that we can.
Turns out they're a spring trap device that kills whoever uses it.
Oh, that should have been the real thing that I did with those. That would have been amazing. What I did find, though, is one of the most useful things that came around was when I disarmed traps or, things exploded, like those mechanical scorpions, and they all exploded. Much better than the money that I was getting is the parts. Scoop up all the parts, because then I had this quantity of parts. And what Andy basically was like is like, okay, you have, let's say, 50 scorpion parts from the blown up scorpion robot. And it's like, cool. going in my pile because I can use those to actually build things. And I found that that was going to be a more useful thing to have the actual parts, the springs, assemblies, all of that, than the money itself, because I can do stuff with it. I can build stuff with it. Yeah. There is supposed to be a system, too, in that game where if I wanted to, like, upgrade my abilities or upgrade my different pieces so that I could have, like, permanently magical items, you're supposed to have amount of money that you pour into it. But we actually abstracted that out a lot too, because you figure that if you are acclimated and you're working on it actively, you wouldn't be paying money into that system really to build it yourself. You'd just be taking the time and your labor in order to do it. You'd be taking time away to build. So I didn't have to spend like a ton of money in order to make that work. For specifically items that were signature items for me, if I wanted to try and improve them. So that helped kind of take the wealth aspect out of that whole system. So basically, in this case, I guess the question that I would ask to you is, do you think that it makes sense to try and do an abstracting of wealth levels, or is it really necessary in most cases? Could you just get away with using a basic monetary system?
Honestly, as per normal for us, it would depend on what your system is doing.
Take a shot.
And what you're trying to do with the game system itself, and whether it makes more sense to abstract that out and have something that doesn't require actual monetary units, but can be replaced with some other usefulness, like in that case, your mechanical scrap. Or the abstract wealth system for acquiring great quantities of items. So yeah, it really depends on if you're like personally trying to buy like single items, or if you're trying to buy quantity, I think as well. Whether you want to buy large or small quantities, and whether you're going to have ubiquitous item rarity or extreme disparity between how hard it is to find the items.
Right. I think that it becomes more useful to have an abstracting if you're starting to deal with large quantities of money.
Yeah.
Like you were talking about in Rogue Trader, is like, it's just going to be so much record keeping to try and figure out the amount of money you have if you're trying to manage a fleet of trading ships. It's much better to kind of just get an idea of how much general wealth you have to work with, or what it could buy directly, instead of trying to figure out the monetary value of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because, as you said, if you're trying to manage the money for a fleet's worth of vessels and crew and supplies and, I've got 15 billion crown gelt. How much does it cost running? Oh, that costs 14.5 million running, 0.362843, and then I have an extra 300,000 cost. No one wants to do that.
It's too much.
Nobody wants to do that.
It's too much. Yeah.
That's what you have accountants for, and you do not play the accountants.
Right. And so, yeah, you should just have like a system. How many accountants do you have? That's your wealth system. If you have more than one accountant, you're doing very well, apparently. To manage your different accounts. How many accounts do you have?
One of my ships is just all accountants.
One of my ships is just all accountants. Yeah, perfect. Just a ship full of accountants.
Nobody wants to visit it.
Nobody wants to visit it. Have you seen my wonderful money ship? It's where you keep the money? No, it's just where I keep the accountants that handle the money in my ship. Perfect. Yeah. If you've gotten that deep in the weeds, you're too far in the weeds.
Time to count how many weeds there are.
Good thing we have an accountant ship for that.
Exactly.
Yeah. One more thing. This is going to be a very different conversation than the last two that we had. Because I want to talk fashion, Alex. We're talking fashion.
Ain't got none.
That's fair. People have seen... If people are watching this, they know exactly how little fashion we have, but that's why we need help. So, I wanted to talk about the kind of thing that you rarely ever discuss, which is how to dress your PC. The reason why I bring this up is because a lot of times you get so deep in the weeds about your stat blocks and your character development and your storyline, you don't think about, if you're dressing for success. When you get out there on the battlefield, if you're wearing proper attire, both on the battlefield and off, and you don't really think about it until you have to draw your character or you have art made for them.
Or until you realize that you're only wearing your explorer's outfit and not wearing your armor, and suddenly you're in combat and have to put your armor on.
Yeah, what's really weird is when people were talking about like the armor thing when I was playing D&D, because like I was a turtle, so I never had to wear armor. Armor
Right.
was pointless. But if I was a character that had to do armor, the idea that like I can't just throw the armor on, no. There's a lot that goes into armor when you're dressing, so you can't just like throw it on. And I was like, I imagine that most people are just like, I'm just always in the armor,
Yeah, and even then, you're supposed to take penalties if you're like sleeping in medium or heavy armor, for instance. It's
Oh,
like,
really?
Yeah, you get fatigued.
Oh, you get fatigued because you're
Or
just...
something like that. It's like, it's not comfy.
I would think that it would be incredibly reassuring to be wearing giant armor.
Sure, safe, but not comfortable. You ever tried sleeping in full plate?
I don't even own full plate, so how would I...
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
There's your fashion sense.
Exactly.
Doesn't own full plate.
Exactly. So you have to assume that a lot of times people are probably just going to be walking around or, doing the regular stuff in clothing. Basic old clothing. Unless you're a monk, at which point that's all you ever wear anyway. But for most of your characters, you're going to have to wear something at a certain point, and you probably don't want to be walking around in rags. Have you ever had a case where, from a role-playing standpoint, NPCs made mention of something that you were actually wearing, like the clothes that you were
No.
wearing?
No.
See, I think that's a lost opportunity.
I mean, here I was just thinking too, like,
Hmm.
what if you go into town, you're just dressed to the nines in your armor
That would be
and
pretty
weapons?
amazing.
So some towns and RPGs will be like, yeah, don't pull your weapons out, I'm sure. I've never really encountered it in personal game, but I know, like, especially in some video games, it's like, yeah, don't pull your weapon out in fucking town.
Yeah, they're not gonna
That's
appreciate
a
it.
no-no.
No.
So, like, but can you imagine walking into a town and just dressed full in armor, like with a party full of people? They're gonna be like, yeah, you guys look ready for battle, and we're gonna be keeping our eyes on you.
Yeah, exactly. The captain
Can you
of the
imagine?
guard. Not happy.
Yeah, can you imagine if they were just like, whoa, hold on, before you enter town, that attire ain't gonna do it.
Not proper.
Armor off,
Yeah.
stays in the armory.
Yeah. You go to the fancy ball, you're still wearing your cuirass.
I mean, in those cases, you have magical armor that's got the glamored enchantment, so it just looks like street clothes or fancy clothes, whatever.
Yeah, but it's if you have the magic abilities. If you don't have magic abilities, you're just going to be just huffing around giant plate.
But
Well-
yeah, so I know in video games it's a lot more common, not to necessarily wear street clothes, but to pay more attention to what you're looking like and what you're wearing.
Yeah, I've played a lot of RPGs where they just kind of sidestep the entire thing.
But I've also played a bunch where they're like, oh, you'd like to change the look of your armor? That's fine. Go ahead and change the which armor you're wearing, what color it is, how it looks, your weapons, It's
For sure.
kind of really transmogrify that up.
Yeah,
In a lot of RPGs,
Yeah.
we'll let you do that now.
they'll let you customize a lot of your armor options, even if and just kind of separating that from the actual stats of what it does.
Yeah, because usually it's only cosmetic effects.
Right. And I have seen many cases where that actually the helmet off option, so that you can see people's faces, even though you get the helmet bonuses.
Right.
That's happened in a lot of them. But if you play something like a Witcher or a Fable, they just have you in the armor. Like whatever your armor is, you're just always in it. But usually the kind of armor that you're wearing, at least in Fable, does matter, because it will change people's perception of you. It
Sure,
will.
and then even in The Witcher, it's, if there were scenes that you're doing where you weren't in armor, you would be dressed differently.
That's true. Yeah. In Fable, they actually made a system, and I think I've seen it in other ones. I'll probably think of them soon, where if you, depending on what armor sets you're wearing, it will actually change what people consider your attractiveness or your scariness, like how they will react to you in a fairly rudimentary way, but it does actually affect people's opinion if you come in with like a full handlebar mustache, like you just got done tying somebody to a railroad track or something like that. They might have a relatively unfavorable opinion. Although I think the funny thing was in the original Fable, it was like the mutton chops, like the full-on mutton chops, like was like high attractiveness in that. Or it was like really high attractiveness for stuff like that, and would also occasionally affect your alignment, depending on whether you're wearing the bright or the dark plate mail.
Yeah.
Or the wizard robes or stuff like that. But those are mostly just like stat changes. It doesn't really affect your status or where you can actually wear it. I think the fashion aspect, though, rarely actually comes into play, even and in the social parts of it. Like I never really, during my time playing games, occasionally you'd go to like the fancy balls and stuff like that, and they don't really spend much time making sure that you have dressed appropriately for it. I think that we did touch on it with Dr. McFly when we had to go to like a Lord's ball and we were going to go to a fancy dinner, especially because he doesn't do that very often. He doesn't go to high society balls. Some of the other characters were more familiar. Yeah, exactly. So I think I wore something in tweed, which was pretty much what I normally wear anyway, so just try to make that work. A good all-rounder outfit. Rembrandt, obviously, since he was a turtle, he just always had a shell, and so that was pretty much what he wore, although there was kind of like a little bit of a loincloth, I guess, just for modesty's sake, but
Sure.
yeah, no one ever questioned him on that. The armor wouldn't have done him any good, unless they coated it in metal, maybe. I don't know. We never got
Sure. My Dragonborn would wander around mostly naked some days.
Yeah, it's pretty...
But he's also a shape changer, so...
Yeah. I think that, if you're going to be an adventurer, I think one of the great things about it is you feel like you have the freedom to just go all natural, just wandering around streets.
Yeah, that's how those barbarians get those intimidation checks.
Yeah, exactly. Just wander around naked in the streets. And who's going to say anything about it? Not... Do you think the guards are going to walk up to you and say anything? You're a freaking barbarian.
when they avert their eyes is when you get your backstab bonus.
Oh, so this is also good for thieves.
Absolutely.
I
mean, either don't be seen or make them look away.
Yeah, naked thieves. That's the whole thing about the public displays of affection, is that people usually look away when they see public displays of affection, so definitely do it. And then when their back is turned, you can pick their pocket. You need like a two-man thief team in order to make that work.
So you need to double team the thief.
You got to double team your mark in order for that to work. Yeah, I don't know how much in the weeds you want to get, but have you ever noticed that usually when you're picking out your character, they usually say like you have a set of simple clothes or something like that? They rarely discuss that you have different outfits. That you need to have 3 different outfits. You need to have your casual, you need to have your formal wear, and you need to have your bathing suit. You need to have 3 different sets of clothing, and you're going to be required to know which one you're going to be in at any time.
I've only ever had like my explorer's outfit.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Hermit's outfit.
Mm-hmm.
It's like simple clothes, and then this other outfit, and then it's like, do I ever wash these though?
Not unless you're near a lake. Maybe you could just wash them in the river or pond or stream,
magically
other body
them.
of water. magically clean them. No
We
one
should
ever
just
talks
get-
about cleaning.
We should just give adventurers a single magic set of clothing that never gets dirty.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can clean it on command, and it takes like an hour for it to clean itself.
Mm-hmm.
And then it can just be whatever outfit style you need it to be.
Sure.
Not at whim, but
Yeah. The system that they had in Kingdom Come Deliverance, actually, and for the record, I was just playing Medieval Dynasty, there is a system where you can get dirty.
Oh, good.
And
Perfect.
that in Medieval Dynasty, I believe it affects some of your stats. It actually does affect some of your stats if you're dirty. But in Kingdom Come Deliverance, what was really interesting is that if your armor is dirty, it does make characters not appreciate you quite as much. You get
Yeah, you gotta
weird
keep the
looks.
armor polished at all times.
But you know how you actually clean the armor? This is the best part. They have the wash tubs around town. You just pop yourself into the wash tub and you like bend down for a second and you've washed off your armor.
I feel like that would cause armor to rust.
Yeah. Well, the problem with a couple of those games is that their attempts at realism then seem completely unrealistic when they come up with a solution to the thing.
Yeah.
because in the Medieval Dynasty 2 is like, if you're dirty, well, just find a body of water, dip into the water for a bit, and then come back out and you're clean again. So, maybe not the most realistic way to deal with that very trivial thing.
Do you have to go to the bathroom in Medieval Dynasty?
No!
Then why do they care about your cleanliness?
That is true.
Do you have to brush your teeth?
No.
Alright, then who gives a shit? If you're not gonna go full into the weeds with it, then don't give me bullshit like that.
Yeah, this is not like a survival game like, Green Hell or something like
This
that.
isn't The Sims.
Exactly. And really, if they gave you those systems very much like The Sims, you would just try to exploit it to torture them every single day.
Absolutely. Totally different game. I love it.
Come to think of it, when you build the houses in Medieval Dynasty, there's no bathroom.
Is there a floor?
There is a floor.
Actually, to be fair, if there was a bathroom, it'd probably be like a chamber pot in that, so.
That's true. I don't remember seeing a chamber pot.
Or an outhouse. I mean, they should just add an outhouse.
Yeah. I never saw the ability to even make an outhouse. So, there's that. They're just freeballing out in the woods, apparently.
Yeah. Games just
Popping a
don't want
squat.
to take the animations and stuff needed to have people sitting on toilets and
And-
squatting over pots.
But, I think that they're willing to do it because have you seen how many people do teabagging in the...
That's fair.
I think that they're more than willing to do the animation for it. They just didn't know if it would be like a selling point. Can you imagine like looking on like the features of your game and it's like realistic shitting animation.
New Steam title is Bathroom Stall Simulator.
Yes, exactly. Can't wait. Perfect. We're gonna have to build that. But yeah, no. When it comes to like cleanliness and cleaning off your clothes and stuff like that, it feels like it's always just a matter of convenience whenever they put a system in place. It's just the clothes can be on you. You wash the clothes while they're on you, and you just work with it. So I don't know. I kind of like the idea of being. I don't want to carry a wardrobe around with me, but I feel like you almost have to think of your PC like you would think of normally taking a trip. I'm going on a quest across the world, and I'm going to be in a variety of situations. Pack an overnight bag. Have a couple different sets of clothes for whatever occasion you might need. If I'm going to have a backpack, I might as well have like a suitcase and have a couple good pairs of shoes and some clean underwear, and then I'm gonna need to have probably a formal wear kind of thing for formal occasions, something I can wear around town, and something that's a little scrappier so that I can be out in the woods, and it's gonna protect me from thorns and the occasional dragon.
Yeah.
Is that overthinking it though? Is there really? There's no such thing.
No such thing.
No such thing. Can you imagine if we had like you're playing the Dungeons and Dragons, right? Or you're playing any of the RPGs, and there was just a whole scenario. Have to find out if this is real. That's just a fashion show, like Skyrim fashion show we could do, and that would put on full display all the different clothes. There'd have to be a tailor shop where you could buy a whole like different clothing, and you'd have to like infiltrate the fashion show, sort of like that Hitman mission.
Oh jeez, that might be interesting, but
Might be interesting.
who knows?
I think that that's a very niche thing that most gamers would not necessarily think to play.
Probably.
I don't.
Oh well.
I don't know if there's a lot of intersectionality there between those two things. But anyway, if for no other reason though, I think it's worth thinking about what your character is dressed as so that you know what your character model is going to be if someone draws it.
There you go.
But
It's armor.
Yeah. It's just
It's just
armor.
armor.
It's just armor all the time.
Yes.
Armor painted clothing.
Painted armor clothing.
Yeah. Either
It's
one
like
of those
the
works.
fake tuxedo shirts.
Yeah, exactly. You have like the sweater vest, but it's just on the t-shirt. Serves every purpose.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the Swiss Army knife of shirts. There's the episode title. Anyway, this has been yet another episode of Total Pebble Knockdown. We're up to 7 or 8 of them now, and
This'll be number 8.
this will be number 8.
This has been number 8.
You have listened to episode number 8 of the show. Congratulations for you. You're welcome.
Thank you
Yes, thank you.
for listening.
Appreciate it. Also,
For you.
don't take fashion advice from us. It's a bad idea.
No.
Alex, if folks wanted to find out more information about Total Pebble Knockdown, where could they possibly go?
You can find more information about all the things we do over at totalpebbleknockdown.com.
That's right. In addition to the show and all the other projects that we have working on, all of our little side hustles that we got going on there, you all can also find merchandise, and you can find our Patreon. Our Patreon is terrific. Thank you to all of our patrons that we have, and I will say that over there you're going to find some additional content, some of the outtakes, because believe me, we have plenty of those, and also full-length video versions of the episodes that are released ahead of the normal audio versions. So that's
Almost
pretty cool.
full versions. I don't know if today's is 100% of us being on camera. I'm pretty sure you edit a little bit out.
Okay. Let's go with that. Depends how ambitious I am.
Not very. Have you seen the show?
Often, because I have to edit it together. I've seen every show. You can find us over there. You can find all the projects and everything, yada yada yada. You know that, and you can also find us on various social media sites, but mostly we're just kind of like hanging on Twitter. And I am at Titanium.
I'm at EXP Limited, and the show is at Pebble Knockdown. Almost said the old one.
You almost said at Delve Podcast,
At
didn't you?
Delve Podcast.
It's
At Pebble Knockdown. And if you are wanting to join us on Discord, we have a wonderful Discord with some great people in there who like to talk about games and our show and other fun things. We occasionally do monthly live streams,
yes.
just hanging out,
Mhm.
chatting, gaming, etc. We're always happy to take episode suggestions, segment suggestions, just chat and hang,
Yep.
all that good stuff.
We have entire forums dedicated to asking questions and suggesting discussions that we can have on the show. And then we like to also continue the discussions after we've done the show for anybody who wants to chime in. Actually, at some point, we're probably going to have to do a little bit of a follow-up and get people's, takes on some of the more recent stuff that we've done. I got to put that in my headspace to go back and revisit some of those things so we can get people's opinions on some of the more recent episodes. If you have any of that, we're also on Anchor, as well as many other podcast apps, and you can even leave voice clips for us, and if you say something cool, we might even put it in the show.
Or even something dumb.
Dumb or cool, those are the two options that will probably get you a spot on the show. So you can...
Or just sending something will get you on. That's fine.
It's fine.
We like you.
That's right.
If you've enjoyed this show and you would like to share it with a friend, we would love if you could share this with someone you think might enjoy the show. We're always looking to get more people in to listen and to join us on Discord and just be part of our community. That is our Patreon goal, community growth.
Community growth is very important as we continue the conversation around gaming so that we do not get bowled over by pebbles ourselves.
So that we don't teeter up.
We don't want to teeter up with a pebble. And so, thank you for joining us. As with every single episode, this has been Total Pebble Knockdown, knocking down pebbles
since 1584.
Since 1584. And oh, don't forget to buy your stone-washed jeans. See, I integrated it into the conversation. Can you imagine if you had characters that had stone-washed jeans in an RPG?
Yeah, they'd just be made of actual stones, Nathan.
Oh, that would be even cooler. You could cosplay as Graveler. Bulbasaur! Thanks for joining us. We'll see you on the next one, everybody. Bye.
Bye.